Guess what? On the very first day, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Pretty good opening line, right? But here's the thing. Ever since that dramatic debut, humans have been desperately trying to control, bottle, and improve light. From fires in caves to candles, from Edison's bulb to the LED in your bathroom mirror, the story of light is basically the story of us saying, "It's too dark in here. Somebody fix this." This is Guess What?, where we'll shine a spotlight on the surprisingly weird, sometimes dangerous history of light. Picture this: early humans sitting in a cave, terrified of the dark. Because the dark back then wasn't just creepy, it was full of teeth. So when somebody figured out how to spark fire, it wasn't just about warmth or cooking. It was survival. Fire became humanity's first flashlight. Of course, fire was messy. You had to babysit it, feed it wood, and it loved to burn down your entire village if you weren't careful. But it gave people something they'd never had before: control over the night. It let us gather, talk, and probably tell ghost stories around the flames. And just like that, the human race became obsessed with making darkness less dark. Fast forward a few thousand years, and humans wanted portable light. Enter oil lamps. Ancient Egyptians used hollowed-out stones or pottery filled with animal fat or oil, with a wick to keep it burning. Greeks and Romans refined the design, making beautiful bronze lamps. But here's the catch. These things were smoky, smelly, and sometimes toxic. Imagine trying to impress your date with a romantic dinner by lamplight, and halfway through, you both smell like a burnt goat. Still, lamps meant people could read, write, and drink way past sunset. Civilization was literally lit by grease. Then came candles, around 500 BC in Rome and China. Made from tallow, beeswax, or anything that would melt and solidify, candles were more convenient than oil lamps. They became the lighting MVP of the Middle Ages. But, and this is a big but, tallow candles were made from animal fat. They smoked, they stank, and if you were rich enough to afford beeswax candles, you basically flexed on your neighbors every time you lit one. Churches loved beeswax candles. Pure, bright, and symbolic. For regular folks, though, your house smelled like a barbecue 24/7. Candles became so central that guilds of chandlers, candle makers, popped up across Europe. It was a big business. Until, well, something brighter came along. By the 18th century, we discovered coal gas. Enter gas lighting. Entire streets, theaters, and homes lit up by gas lamps. It was revolutionary. Cities became safer at night. Businesses stayed open later, and nightlife was born. But gas lighting had two big problems. It was dangerous and it was gas. Explosions, leaks, fires, all common. Imagine living in London in the 1800s. Fog outside, gas fumes inside. People weren't sure if they were going to the opera or to the afterlife. Still, gaslight was the first step toward lighting entire cities. It gave the modern world its first glow. Then came the real game changer: electricity. In the 19th century, inventors were racing to make a practical electric light. Humphrey Davy made the first arc lamp in 1802, brighter than the sun, but also hotter than your oven. Not ideal for bedtime reading. Enter Joseph Swan and friends. By the mid to late 1800s, They had figured out the incandescent bulb, a filament glowing inside glass. It worked, kind of. The problem was the filaments burned out quickly, sucked power, and were not practical for everyday use. Then, a man by the name of Thomas Edison came along. Edison didn't invent the light bulb the way most people think. What he did was obsessively improve it. In 1879, Edison and his team at Menlo Park developed a carbonized filament bulb that could last over 40 hours. More importantly, Edison built an entire system around the light bulb. Generators, wiring, switches. Suddenly, homes had steady, reliable light at the flip of a switch. In 1882, he opened the Pearl Street Station in New York City, the first commercial power plant, proving the bulb only works because the entire system exists. Edison marketed it brilliantly. But of course, Nikola Tesla had his own ideas about alternating current. Cue the current wars, a showdown over how the world would be powered. Spoiler: Tesla's alternating current won in the long run. But Edison's light bulb became the symbol of genius itself. Literally the cartoon idea icon above someone's head. The 20th century turned light into art and science fiction come true. Neon signs lit up cities with glowing reds and blues, turning night into a spectacle. In the 1960s, we got lasers, lights so precise we could cut steel, play CDs, or annoy cats with little red dots. And finally, the humble LED, first developed in the 1960s, perfected in the 1990s. Efficient, long-lasting, and available in every color of the rainbow. Today, LEDs light up our phones, our cars, our TVs, even our toothbrushes. And unlike candles, they don't make your house smell like roast beef. So, from fire in a cave to LEDs in your pocket, the history of light is really the history of human progress. We've spent thousands of years chasing brightness, pushing back against the dark, and finding new ways to make the world glow. That's today's episode of Guess What? If you enjoyed shining a light on history with me, hit subscribe, because next time we'll uncover another everyday thing with a not-so-everyday story. Until then, stay curious and stay out of the dark.